Hey everyone, if you're here with us, I'm guessing solo female travel is on your mind. Maybe you're dreaming of those far-off places, or hey, maybe you've already got that next adventure booked.
It's so exciting, right?
Totally. And that's why we're diving into this awesome guide, all about navigating those unique challenges you might face as a solo female traveler.
Exactly. We're talking about staying safe out there, handling those what if moments.
And even making the most of, the emotional side of solo travel. Because it's not all sunshine and perfect Instagram photos, right?
So true, but that's what I love about this guide. It doesn't sugarcoat things.
No, it gets real.
Hmm.
It's packed with practical tips for a trip that's not just safe, but seriously empowering too.
It's not just a list of like, don't do this, don't do that. It dives into how to actually shift your mindset.
Ooh, I like that, a mindset shift. So you can turn those potential stumbling blocks into, what is it like, opportunities?
Exactly. Opportunities for growth.
That's powerful. Okay, so let's jump right in. The guide doesn't shy away from the real stuff. Like, let's be honest, harassment, uncomfortable situations, those are unfortunately a reality for a lot of women traveling solo.
Yeah, but instead of making you feel afraid, this guide focuses on how being prepared can actually make you feel more empowered to handle those situations.
It's like the more you know, the more you can kind of take control.
100%. It's like that saying, knowledge is power. And one of the most powerful tools we have, as the guy points out, is actually our own intuition.
Intuition. That's interesting. So it's not just some mystical thing.
Not at all. It's really about tuning into those gut feelings, that little voice inside that sometimes says, something's not right here.
I've totally had those moments.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's hard to know if you're overreacting or if you should really trust that feeling.
What's fascinating is that the guide actually talks about how our intuition is like a super sophisticated early warning system.
Whoa, early warning system. I like that.
Yeah, it's picking up on subtle cues in our environment, things we might not even consciously register, like tiny changes in body language or a shift in the atmosphere of a place.
Okay, so it's like even if you can't put your finger on why something feels off, it's still smart to listen to that inner voice.
Absolutely. It's better to be safe than sorry, right? And then beyond just trusting your gut, the guy has some great practical advice too.
Okay, give me some examples. I'm all about practical tips.
For example, it talks about learning key phrases in the local language.
Oh, that's such a good one. It's so empowering to be able to say no or stop or even just ask for help in the local language.
Right. It's like you instantly feel more in control of the situation. You're not just relying on someone else understanding you.
You're meeting them halfway. I love that.
Oh,
Okay, so we've got intuition and local phrases. What else? I feel like we're just getting started.
well, let's talk about tech. I know you love your gadgets.
Oh, you know it. In fact, I think I practically highlighted the entire section on safety apps.
Of course you did.
It's like we all have these mini computers in our pockets these days. Why not use them to stay safe? The guide mentions apps like Be Safe and Noonlight.
Those are great ones. What I find fascinating about those apps is that they go beyond just being a way to call for help. They often have features like GPS tracking so your friends can see where you are in real time.
Oh yeah, the tracking feature.
Yeah.
That's huge for peace of mind, especially for anyone back home who might be worrying.
Right, and there are often things like timed alarms, so if you don't check in at a certain time, someone knows to check on you.
It's like having a virtual buddy system even when you're traveling solo.
Mm.
Okay, but the guide also reminds us that technology isn't everything.
Very true. Sometimes the best thing you can do if you feel uneasy is to just approach a local.
Really, just like that.
Yep. Most people are genuinely helpful. And they might even be able to give you some insider tips on staying safe in their area.
It's like finding a friendly face in the crowd. Okay, so we've talked about physical safety, but solo travel isn't just about that, right?
Oh, definitely not. There's a whole emotional side to it too, which can be just as challenging.
That makes sense. You're out there exploring the world, having these amazing experiences, but you're also stepping outside your comfort zone, probably experiencing a lot of new things at once.
And you're doing it all on your own. It's totally normal to feel those pangs of loneliness or miss your loved ones back home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that this guide doesn't just say, oh, you'll get over it.
Right. It gives you some real strategies for staying connected and combating those feelings of isolation.
Okay, so spill the tea.
Hmm.
What are some of the tips?
Well, it goes beyond just calling your mom every day, which, don't get me wrong, is great. But the guide suggests getting creative with it.
I like where this is going. Creative connection.
Yeah, like having virtual movie nights with your friends back home, or even joining online communities of other solo female travelers.
Ah, finding your tribe. That's such a good idea. So you can share tips, experiences, maybe even meet up with people on the road.
Exactly. Those virtual connections can be a lifeline when you're feeling alone. But the guide also emphasizes the importance of real-life interactions, especially with locals.
Okay, so how do they suggest doing that?
Seeking out activities where you can actually meet people and immerse yourself in the culture. Things like cooking classes or walking tours.
It's not just about filling your days with things to do, but about creating those meaningful connections, right?
Totally. And speaking of meaningful, there's another tip in here that resonates with me. Journaling.
Ooh, journaling. I love that. Tell me more.
The guide talks about how journaling is more than just recording what you did each day. It's about processing those big emotions that come with solo travel, all the ups and downs, the excitement, the fear, the loneliness, the joy.
Wow, yeah. It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper,
Mm.
and it's something you can look back on later and remember those feelings so vividly.
Exactly. And the best part, years later, you can look back on those journal entries and it's like reliving the whole journey again. But this time with the wisdom of hindsight.
It's like a personal time capsule of your solo adventures. I love that. Okay, so we've got journaling for the emotional side of things. Now let's talk about something that might make some people a bit anxious. Emergency preparedness.
Ooh, yes. Good one. But remember, this isn't about being paranoid. It's about being prepared.
Exactly. It's about thinking ahead so you can actually relax and enjoy your trip knowing you've got things covered just in case.
Cool.
And the guide has so many great tips, like what to do if, knock on wood, you lose your passport.
Oh, that's a good one. It seems like a nightmare scenario. But instead of freaking out, the guide is all about creating a safety net.
A safety net for your passport. Love it.
Right. So it suggests having not just one, but multiple backups.
Okay, so talk me through this multi-layered passport protection plan.
Well, first, you've got digital copies on your phone, right? Easy peasy.
Makes sense? What else?
Then physical copies stashed in a couple different places, in your suitcase, in your money belt, maybe even with a trusted friend back home.
Okay, so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. I like it.
Oh.
And speaking of being prepared for the unexpected, let's not forget about, well, getting sick.
It happens, and it's even trickier when you're alone in a foreign country. The guy is really practical about this, though.
So what do they suggest? Packing a whole pharmacy?
Not quite. They talk about packing a basic first aid kit with essentials like, pain relievers, bandages, antiseptic wipes.
Okay, the basics. But what about more serious stuff?
Well, they encourage you to research local healthcare options before you go, so you know what to expect if something happens.
Oh, that's smart. So it's like, what are the hospitals like in the area? Do I need any special insurance? That kind of thing.
Exactly, and knowing the answers to those questions beforehand can give you such peace of mind, especially if you're someone who tends to worry.
Huge. And here's a tip I wish I'd known sooner. Build a buffer day into your itinerary.
A buffer day.
Yeah. Because delays happen. Cancellations happen, especially when you're traveling solo and don't have anyone else to pick up the slack.
Ooh, that's a good point. So that buffer day turns what could be a travel nightmare into just another part of the adventure.
Precisely. It's like saying to the universe, okay, throw whatever you want at me. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something nobody wants to think about, but it's smart to be prepared for. Theft.
Ugh, yeah. No fun, but a reality, unfortunately. This guide has some great tips for minimizing the risk, though, like using an anti-theft bag.
I was just about to say that. Those bags are awesome. You know, the ones with the slash-proof straps and all the hidden pockets?
Exactly. Those bags are genius because they not only make it harder for thieves to get into your stuff, but they also act as a deterrent. A thief is going to go for the easier target, right?
100%. Outsmart those thieves. What other tips do they have for keeping our belongings safe?
The guide also talks about having backup credit cards and cash and keeping them separate from your main wallet.
Okay, smart. So like maybe stashing some emergency cash in a hidden pocket in your clothing, just in case.
Exactly. Always have a plan B. But what's really refreshing about this guide is that it doesn't just focus on avoiding challenges.
Oh. Tell me more about that.
It actually encourages you to see those challenges as opportunities for growth.
I love that mindset shift.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking, oh no, this is going wrong, you think, okay, how can I learn from this?
Brilliant. Right. And think about it, when you're traveling solo, you're constantly flexing your problem-solving muscles.
That's so true. You're figuring things out on the fly, navigating unfamiliar situations, and all of that makes you more resilient.
Exactly. Solo travel is like a crash course in
And
resourcefulness.
confidence.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
You come home thinking, I handled that. I faced the unexpected and came out stronger.
It's like a confidence boost that radiates into every area of your life.
And you know what else comes with overcoming those challenges?
What's that?
The best stories. Those are the moments that make your trip truly unique and unforgettable.
Totally. It's like, who wants to hear about the perfectly planned itinerary? Give me the story about the time you got lost and ended up having tea with a local family.
Right. Embrace the chaos. Okay, but I think there's another angle to this whole challenges and growth thing that's fascinating. It's about how those sometimes uncomfortable situations can become opportunities for real connection and cultural exchange.
Ooh. Now that's interesting. So tell me, what does the guide have to say about turning a potentially negative encounter into something positive?
Well, it doesn't like specifically lay out steps to turn a negative into a positive, like a magic formula. But what it does do is encourage travelers to approach all interactions with a really open mind.
I like that, an open mind. So it's less about like fixing a bad situation and more about going in with the right attitude from the start.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that even those small everyday interactions, those can give you a glimpse into how people live in that place, like what their values are, the things that make their culture unique.
So instead of getting frustrated when you can't understand someone, you can see it as a chance to, I don't know, get creative with communication.
Totally. Maybe learn a new word or two.
Or just laugh at the absurdity of it all.
Yes. Find the humor in it. Or imagine you get totally lost. Instead of panicking, you could see it as a chance to ask a local for help. Maybe discover some hidden gem that's not in any guidebook.
Ooh, turning those little hiccups into mini adventures. I love that. It reminds me of what you were saying earlier about the guide encouraging us to see those challenges as opportunities for growth.
Right. It's all about shifting your perspective and realizing that, hey, sometimes the best travel experiences happen when you step outside that comfort zone a little bit.
And those unexpected moments often make for the best stories later on. Would you rather tell your friends about the perfectly planned itinerary or the time you got lost and ended up having tea with a local family?
Tea with a local family, hands down. Now that's a story. And speaking of cultural differences, the guide kind of subtly touches on something that I think is really important for solo female travelers, especially.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What is it?
It encourages you to research the local customs and traditions before you go.
Oh, yeah, that's huge. It's like you don't want to accidentally offend anyone or put yourself in a weird situation just because you weren't aware of the norms, right?
Exactly. Like in some cultures, it's considered rude to make direct eye contact, or maybe there are certain ways you're expected to dress, especially in religious places.
It's about being respectful.
Yes, showing respect for the people and the place you're visiting.
It's like that saying, when in Rome.
Do as the Romans do.
Exactly. But I think it goes beyond just following the rules. It's about being genuinely interested in why things are done a certain way.
And maybe even learning something new about yourself in the process.
Ooh, I like that. So it's approaching those differences with curiosity rather than judgment.
Exactly. And I think for women especially, it can be a chance to kind of reflect on the expectations we're used to here and how those might be different in other parts of the world.
That's such a good point. It's like solo travel gives you this amazing opportunity to step outside those expectations and just be yourself,
Without all that pressure.
without the pressure of what you should be doing or how you should be acting. Okay, so we've talked about safety, emotional well-being, cultural sensitivity. Now, let's not forget about the pure joy and liberation of solo travel.
Yes. That feeling of freedom, like you can wake up every morning and decide exactly what you want to do, where you want to go, no compromises.
It's like the world is your oyster, and you get to choose which pearl to discover each day. You could linger over coffee in a cute cafe, spend hours wandering through a museum, hike to a stunning viewpoint, and you don't have to consider anyone else's preferences.
It's amazing. You're indulging your curiosities, following your passions, creating a travel experience that's totally unique to you. And speaking of creating your own experience, there's this subtle point the guide makes about planning and preparation.
You mean like it's good to have a plan, but don't be afraid to deviate from it.
Exactly. Finding that sweet spot between having some kind of itinerary but leaving room for spontaneity.
Because sometimes the best moments are the ones you didn't plan, right? Like You meet a fellow traveler who tells you about this amazing local market that's not in any guidebook, or you stumble upon a street festival and end up dancing the night away with strangers.
Love that. Those unplanned moments, those are the ones that become the highlights. It's about being open to new experiences and letting yourself be surprised.
Saying yes to adventure, even if it's a little scary or outside your comfort zone.
You never know where those detours might lead.
They might lead to the most magical discoveries. Okay, so we've talked about safety, emotional well-being, cultural sensitivity, personal growth, freedom, spontaneity. But there's one more crucial aspect of solo female travel that we haven't touched on yet. And it's something that, let's be honest, can make or break the whole experience.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. What is it?
Packing light.
Ah, yes. The art of packing light.
It's a skill, truly.
Mm.
I used to be the queen of overpacking, just in case. But over the years, I've learned that less is definitely more when it comes to solo travel.
Makes sense. You're the one who has to lug that suitcase around, upstairs, onto trains, through crowded streets. Why make it harder on yourself?
Right. And it's not just about the physical burden. It's like packing light actually forces you to be more mindful about what you bring. You start asking yourself, do I really need this? Will I actually do this?
It's like a mini lesson in minimalism. And when you prioritize experiences over possessions, you free yourself up to be more present.
Totally. Who wants to be thinking about their overflowing suitcase when they could be out there exploring, trying new foods, meeting new people?
Not me.
And you know what? The more I travel, the more I realize the most valuable things you bring on a solo trip aren't material things at all. It's your open mind, your sense of adventure, that willingness to embrace the unknown.
Those are the things that truly enrich your journey.
So for anyone listening who's thinking about a solo trip, remember, packing light is about more than just saving space in your suitcase. It's about embracing a whole mindset. It's about freeing yourself from that burden of excess baggage, both literally and figuratively.
So you can fully embrace the adventure that's waiting.
Love it. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk solo dining.
Ooh, good one.
Because I think one of the biggest anxieties for solo female travelers can be that thought of, like, eating alone in restaurants.
Oh, I totally get it. There's this weird stigma, right? Like, eating is supposed to be a social thing.
It can feel awkward or intimidating to be that person sitting alone at a table.
But this guide actually encourages solo travelers to embrace solo dining.
Really? I'm surprised. Tell me more.
It basically says, think of it as an opportunity, a chance to slow down, savor the experience, really appreciate the food, and maybe even just observe the people around you.
Ooh, I like that. It's like sometimes it's nice to just have a meal without having to make conversation or compromise on what you want to eat. You're just in the moment, enjoying your own company.
Exactly. Some guilt-free me time. And honestly, some of my most memorable meals have been those solo dining experiences.
Mine too. It's funny how that works. I remember this one time I was in Florence, sitting at a tiny table outside this charming trattoria. I had this amazing pasta dish and a glass of local wine, and I just sat there forever, people watching, soaking up the atmosphere.
Pure bliss.
It was.
Mm.
And you know what? I found that once I embraced solo dining, it actually opened up more opportunities for connection.
Really? How so?
Because I wasn't so focused on, like, finding someone to eat with, I was more open to striking up conversations with people at nearby tables, or even just chatting with the staff.
That makes sense.
And sometimes those little chance encounters led to cool conversations, local recommendations, even new friendships.
It's like by being comfortable in your own company, you kind of radiate a certain confidence.
And that attracts people to you.
Exactly. Confidence is contagious.
So to all you solo female travelers out there, don't let the fear of solo dining hold you back. Embrace it as a chance to savor the experience, maybe connect with the local culture a bit, even make a new friend.
And hey, if you're ever feeling self-conscious, a book or a journal can be your best dining companion.
So true. Okay, now let's talk transportation. Getting around safely and efficiently is key, especially in a new place.
Right, absolutely. You don't want to be wandering around lost and confused, especially if it's late or in an area that doesn't feel safe.
Right. And that's where the guide's advice on transportation comes in. It really emphasizes doing your research beforehand.
Like, before you even arrive, familiarize yourself with what the options are. Public transport, taxis, ride-sharing apps.
You need to rent a car, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And thank goodness for technology, because there are so many apps and websites that can help with all that.
It's like having a personal travel agent right in your pocket. Plan your routes, compare prices, book tickets, even track your ride in real time. But don't forget to tap into that local knowledge, too.
Oh, that's so important.
Talk to the hotel staff, your tour guides, even other travelers you meet. They can give you that inside scoop on the safest and most efficient ways to get around.
Like maybe there's a certain bus route that's known for being really crowded, or a neighborhood you might want to avoid at night.
Exactly. Use that local wisdom.
Uh.
And then, when in doubt, trust your instincts. If a particular mode of transportation or a specific route just doesn't feel safe, go with your gut.
Better safe than sorry, right?
Always. Okay, so we've got the transportation piece down. But you know what else can make a huge difference in your solo travel experience? Learning at least a few basic phrases in the local language.
Oh, absolutely. It shows respect for the local culture, and it can open up doors to those more authentic interactions.
Even if it's just simple greetings, phrases for asking directions, ordering food, those little efforts go a long way.
And let's be honest, it's just plain fun. It's like a little challenge that makes your trip even more interesting.
Totally. And it's amazing how quickly you can pick up those phrases, especially when you're immersed in the culture.
It's like your brain suddenly switches on and starts absorbing everything.
Unlocking a secret code. And that connection, I think, is one of the most rewarding things about solo travel.
Sure.
So for anyone listening who's thinking about taking a solo trip, embrace the challenge of language learning.
It's a gift you give yourself.
It can really enrich the whole experience. Now, let's talk about something that's not always glamorous, but it's crucial for a smooth and enjoyable solo trip. Budgeting, financial planning.
Ah, yes. The practical side of travel. It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement of planning and forget about the financial realities.
Yeah, and unexpected expenses happen. You don't want to be stressing about money when you're supposed to be enjoying yourself.
Exactly. So the guide suggests doing some research beforehand, checking out average costs for accommodation, transportation, food, activities.
Creating a financial roadmap.
Exactly. And don't forget to factor in some wiggle room for those spontaneous splurges or unexpected situations.
A little buffer can go a long way. Thankfully, we live in a world where there are tons of tools and apps that can help you manage your budget.
It's true. Track your spending, set daily limits, even convert currencies.
It's like having a personal finance manager in your pocket.
And one of the great things about solo travel is that you have complete control over your budget.
You can choose to stay in hostels to save money, or splurge on a fancy dinner, or a special tour if you want.
It's about finding the right balance,
Making choices that align with your priorities and travel style.
taking ownership of your financial well-being. Okay, so speaking of being mindful,
Ooh, good segue.
I thought so. I think it's important to acknowledge the impact our travels have on the places we visit.
100%. As solo female travelers, we have a unique opportunity to make a positive impact.
On the communities and environments we encounter, right?
Yes, it's about being mindful of our footprint.
Making conscious choices that support local businesses, conserve resources, and protect the environment.
Being a responsible traveler, not just a tourist.
I love that.
And this guide touches on this throughout, encouraging us to choose eco-friendly accommodation, reduce our plastic consumption, respect local customs and traditions,
Traveling with intention.
leaving a positive legacy behind.
It feels good to know you're making a difference, even in small ways.
Absolutely. Okay, so as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into solo female travel challenges,
It's clear that those challenges can be so much more than just obstacles.
they can be opportunities for growth, connection, even self-discovery.
It's about embracing the unknown, pushing those boundaries, and discovering that strength and resilience you never knew you had.
It's about creating an experience that's uniquely yours, filled with adventure, self-discovery, and unforgettable memories.
And coming home transformed, not just with souvenirs and photos, but with a new perspective on yourself, on the world.
So, to all the aspiring solo female travelers out there, remember, the world is waiting to be explored, one solo adventure at a time.
Take that leap of faith, plan with intention, pack light, embrace the journey with an open heart and a thirst for adventure.
You won't regret it.
Yeah.
But before we send you off on your next adventure, there's one final piece of advice that I think is so important. And it's something that's not explicitly mentioned in the guide, but something I've learned through my own solo travels.
Ooh, I'm all ears. What's the secret ingredient?
It's the power of simply being present.
Being present. That's so interesting you say that.
I know, right?
It's something I've been thinking about too lately.
It's like in today's world,
Yeah.
We're so bombarded with distractions.
All the time.
It's easy to just forget to be in the moment,
Yeah.
And I think that's especially true when you're traveling.
Oh, definitely.
You're in a new place. There's so much to see, so much to do. You're trying to capture it all on camera, share it with everyone.
You want to remember everything.
You do. But it's like we're so focused on documenting the experience that we forget to actually have the experience,
100%.
And I was thinking about it, and this guide, it doesn't explicitly talk about, like, mindfulness or being present,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's kind of woven into the whole philosophy of solo travel.
Because when you're alone, you're not as caught up in other people's stuff.
Yes, you have that freedom to just be
Wherever you are, yes.
fully and completely. So here's my challenge to everyone listening, okay?
Huh.
On your next solo trip, try carving out even just a little bit of time each day
Okay.
to just be present. Put away the phone, disconnect from social media for a bit.
Digital detox.
Yes. And allow yourself to just really absorb everything.
Yeah.
The sights, the sounds, the smells, the textures.
All of it.
Engage all those senses. Really be in your body in that moment.
Ooh, I love that. It's like a sensory detox.
It is. Like, sit in a park and watch the way the light comes through the leaves, Or wander through a market and really take in the smells of all the spices.
Or hike to a viewpoint and just breathe.
Yes. Feel the wind on your face.
Those moments of presence, those are the ones you really remember.
They stay with you.
Long after the trip is over.
They do. And you know what? Sometimes those moments, they just find you.
Oh.
It could be a conversation with a local or a stunning sunset or even just a quiet moment back in your hotel room.
Just breathing.
It's about being open to those little bursts of beauty,
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to be present for them.
Just be you.
Exactly. So as you pack your bags for that next solo adventure, remember to pack your mindfulness along with your passport and your sense of adventure.
The ultimate travel companion.
It is. Well, I think we've officially covered it all. From A to Z of solo female travel challenges.
What a deep dive. So much good stuff in here.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it all comes down to this, I think. Solo female travel is empowering. But preparation is key. Having that positive mindset.
Being open to the unexpected.
Yes. So my final question for you, dear listener, is this. What's one small step you can take right now
Right now.
to feel more prepared or confident about your next solo adventure? Maybe it's researching those safety apps.
Or practicing a few phrases in a new language.
Or even just visualizing yourself, confidently navigating a new city, handling those challenges.
Whatever it is, take that step.
The world is waiting.
Safe travels, everyone.
And let us know where your adventures take you.